die. Definitely they're going to kill him.
I don't want the story.
He is the vile rapist whose extraordinary case exposes Britain's broken immigration system. In 2018, the deportation of this man, Somali national Yaqub Ahmed, collapsed when a group of holidaymakers at Heathrow mutinied and forced security guards to haul him off the plane. What those passengers didn't know was that Ahmed had been convicted and jailed for the horrific gang rape of a 16-year-old girl after a night out. Now, we can expose how Ahmed has remained in Britain for the last 5 years and, with the help of taxpayer-funded lawyers, repeatedly scuppered further attempts to deport him. Ahmed's case reveals, perhaps more starkly than any other, how foreign criminals defy government attempts to remove them from the UK. Not only did he fabricate a claim that ISIS terrorists would kill him, he arranged for a fake death threat video to be posted online. He even boasted about being 2 steps ahead of immigration officials. We can also reveal that this woman, BBC Africa editor Mary Harper, gave evidence in support of his case, although her testimony was later torn apart by judges. Ahmed was finally deported in August, more than 16 years after his appalling crime, leaving British taxpayers with a legal and jail bill of up to £1 million. This is the shocking story of Yaqub Ahmed.
It was a run-of-the-mill flight. It was mid to late afternoon. I was expecting a nice, smooth, easy flight and get there, get off, crack on, get on to work. But there was a delay.
That is male photographer Jamie Wiseman. On October 9th, 2018, Jamie was on a reporting assignment. By chance, he boarded the same Turkish Airlines flight that was due to fly Ahmed out of the country. Captured on a mobile phone, this is his film of an extraordinary standoff that took place just before takeoff.
He says they're separating him from his family. His family is here.
He started screaming blue murder. He was making an awful racket. He was screaming, stop them, stop them, stop them. Some of the passengers around me were distressed by this. It was immediately obvious what was happening. The passengers on the plane didn't want to be complicit in this. Eventually they had to take him off the plane.
The human rights, come on. He says he wants to go off the plane.
The passengers on board that day didn't appear to consider who they were defending or why he was being deported. The truth was revealed 5 days later in the Mail on Sunday. The 29-year-old refugee had in fact been jailed for 9 years in 2008 for a vicious gang rape. He was one of 4 men who lured a young girl to a flat in Crouch End. They held her down and took turns brutally raping her. The words of his victim, who we are calling Hannah, are voiced by an actor.
Well, that day ruined me. They ruined my life. This was another way to prolong it, and all you're doing is keep dragging me through it. Keep holding this over me, just prolonging the torture.
Hannah remains haunted by the ordeal she suffered in August 2007. Her screams were so loud they could be heard by the operator who answered the 999 call from concerned neighbours. She struggled to watch the video from the plane.
The more people that intervened, the worse he got, because he was getting the attention that he needed, and he fed off that. It's like that mob mentality, you know, it all escalated. I want it to be out of my brain, but there are just bits in the video. Blue shirt man and you're free man. Those things will ring in my ear for a while.
For the next 5 years, Ahmed used every possible legal trick to avoid being deported. His case has involved at least 24 separate immigration tribunal hearings and reached the Court of Appeal. He complained he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and that deporting him would breach his human rights. He claimed he was the victim of modern slavery in both Somalia and the UK. He warned he could be targeted by terrorists or the Somali government because of his rape conviction. He also said he'd be shunned in Mogadishu and left destitute. He even claimed he would be wrongly identified as a UK government spy. On 2 separate occasions in 2019, he was just hours from being deported, only for his removal to be again foiled by last-ditch appeals. By autumn 2020, he appeared once again to be on the brink of being removed from the UK. But it was at this point he pulled off his most audacious trick yet. 5 days before his deportation, on October 31st, this video mysteriously appeared online.
Lately we heard from the media in the UK that they are bringing back a bad man called Yaqub Ahmed. If any of those people are returned to East Africa, we will target them and kill them.
Posted on an obscure Facebook page, it supposedly showed ISIS fighters threatening to kill him, but it was nothing of the sort. In fact, the men shown in this video are believed to be associates of Ahmed, who, under his orders, dressed up as terrorists and recorded a fake death threat video in what appears to be a desert somewhere in Africa. The video appeared after the Mail on Sunday revealed how the then Home Secretary Priti Patel had met his victim and vowed to make his deportation a top priority. Ahmed claimed his cousin stumbled across it online. His legal team then used it to launch yet another appeal, arguing he was at real risk of being killed if he returned to Somalia. The Home Office, however, was deeply suspicious, and it was quickly concluded that it was not what it claimed to be.
Well, I've seen over the years hundreds of videos from different groups and terror organisations around the world, and this is one of the most poorly put together videos, and it raises in my mind a number of questions about who's done it and why it's been done.
And what is it about the video that you think is poorly put together?
Well, the poor camera work that's in it, the fact that someone's mobile phone's going off, the fact that the script that he's reading on a torn piece of paper, he clearly hasn't rehearsed it beforehand, doesn't own the words, and therefore it's not coming out with the usual passion that you get in a lot of these areas. He's stumbling over the words. But the biggest thing for me is there's no symbology on it. There's nothing to say that this is XYZ organisation and they're saying this on behalf of the organisation or anything else. That's the one thing that is in just about every video that there is, because it's all about promoting the group, the terror organisation or whatever that you're part of. Therefore there's nothing to hang your hat on as to who's giving this threat.
In March 2022, 3 judges agreed, ruling there was no doubt the video was fake. You might think the exposure of such brazen dishonesty would have resulted in his immediate removal. But shockingly, it took another 16 months before he was deported.
The video was just absolutely ridiculous. It is just absolutely shocking that it was allowed. Why would you even hear it? It was just lies, complete fabrication. If it was a credible video, then I understand the need to hear it, but it clearly wasn't. It was clearly amateur. It was clearly manufactured to keep him here. Why would you not see it for what it was, which was a stalling tactic? Not for 1 second did I ever think it was a credible bit of evidence.
On August the 1st, 2023, Yaqub Ahmed was finally deported, arriving in Somalia the following day. We can only reveal this now because a draconian court order granted the rapist anonymity for 3.5 months after his deportation. Ahmed's barristers even sought anonymity for themselves, an unprecedented move that was successfully opposed by the Mail on Sunday. Nevertheless, press freedom experts warn this case has raised worrying questions about the willingness of immigration tribunals to restrict reporting.
Open justice is clearly very important in terms of allowing the public to know what is happening inside courts and to know what happens. It's about justice being seen to be done. What's of huge concern is that until now, a convicted rapist of a 16-year-old girl who has since been deported and is living in Somalia has not been able to be scrutinised by the British press or by the public at large, and that's hugely concerning.
But this extraordinary story doesn't end there. In order to secure his removal, the Home Office had to put in place a generous support package for when he arrived in Mogadishu. It included a 14-week stay here, the Peace Hotel, where all his accommodation and food bills were paid for by UK taxpayers. Taxpayers have also paid out for Ahmed to attend a mental health care clinic and for him to receive a month's supply of medication. Meanwhile, an armoured vehicle was laid on to take him from the airport to the hotel. For Hannah, the the generous package exposes a legal system that prioritises the human rights of a rapist over those of his victim. Ultimately, however, she is simply relieved that her tormentor has been deported. After years of anguish, she can finally move on.
There have been so many times where I felt really weak throughout all of this. I didn't want to be here. Didn't want to keep fighting because I had no fight left. And then I'd get a fire in my belly. It's just the biggest relief that I don't have to keep going over it and I can let go now. Just look forward rather than constantly having it in my head, always there.